An old friend of mine, Mr. Raimo Klein from Layar. Here he is. Big round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. So, let's see if this works. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Raimo Klein. I've been in mobile. Can everybody hear me well? I've been in mobile since 1999. Worked a lot at Nokia. Did some stuff here in the Dutch market as well with KPN and NOS, which is the Dutch broadcaster. And now I'm co-founder and CEO of Layar. Small disclaimer. So in this presentation, I'm not going to talk about augmented reality. Sorry, not about Layar, and not about mobile. But I'm going to share my personal view on a lot of technology that's becoming available for people the last years. So it's a personal story. It doesn't represent Layar's vision or in that sense anything other than my own personal vision. I see it as a wake-up call. It's something I would really like to share with you guys. It's what I see in the world, and hopefully it can help you in your own houses. So we're going to make a little journey here. 550 million years ago, there was a period called the Cambrian era, and there was an explosion there of life. Before 550 million years ago, there were a couple of life forms, a couple of organisms, and then suddenly there was this explosion of life. It's called the Big Bang of biology. So what is the reason of this big explosion? There is this guy called N. Parker. He's a biologist, and he has a theory called the light switch theory. And he thinks that it has something to do with sight. So before 550 million years ago, all organisms were blind. They had no clue of their current context. They could just feel, and everything that touches their mouth, they just ate. But then suddenly, the first organisms started to develop eyes, giving them a sense of their context and the objects around them. And it changed the game forever. It switched on the lights in all the world's basically. Suddenly everybody was in a lit room and could see each other in the same room. And then the question, of course, is, what is it that you're looking at? Is it the prey? Is it the predator? Is it the resource? Is it food? Is it the mate? So we got relationships with objects in a sense. So the objects around us, we started to have relationships with them. And one of the primary relationships we developed was predation. And that means that there's a predator and a prey. And that's we call it a consumer-resource interaction, and it exploded. So suddenly organisms started to see other organisms as prey, which of course also developed a kind of anti-predation mechanisms, like avoiding detection. Can you see the fish? Well, asking where is this going, right? But it also, organisms develop other features like a lot of bright color, or they made themselves bigger to avoid attack. Or organisms started to group together to avoid capture in a sense. So my conclusion here is that next to the explosion of a diverse life, eyes also change the way we relate and interact with objects in our context. End of chapter 1 in that sense. So let's get back to the now. Our world changed a lot. We don't have that much of a prey-predator relationship with the objects around us. We have a different relationship with the objects around us. And also the objects in our direct context changed. We're talking now about media, products, advertising, content, and our whole context is filled with that space. And in a sense, that space is blinding us. It's a spectacle of information and messages that's kind of overflowing on us and giving us the inability to see beyond that superficial layer, which is called spectacle. And the word spectacle comes from Guy Debord, which is a situationist in the 50s, and here's a quote from him. I'm going to put it right here. Let's read it. So in societies where modern conditions of production prevail, all of life presents itself as an immense accumulation of spectacles. Everything that was directly lived has moved away into a representation. So currently we interact with representations. We're not, everything has grown beyond the human scale. We're talking with models in advertisements in a sense. And a lot of the messages are even not personal. End of chapter 2. So now we have this moment where a lot of technology is coming available, and we know this already for a couple of decades.
I think we must begin to say no to certain kinds of technology and to begin to control technological change, because we've now reached the point at which the technology is so powerful and is so rapid that it could destroy us unless we control it.
So this is Alvin Toffler, a futurist in 1970, already seeing that technology is going to have a major impact in our lives. And it's going to have a major impact in our lives. Now we get to the cool stuff. So we are witnessing currently the birth of a digital eye. Just like 550 million years we got an organic eye, we're now in the process of developing our first digital eye. And it's much more powerful than our natural eye. You can see a lot more with this digital eye. And it will only take one generation instead of tens of millions of years to build. And what effect will it have on us humans? So the first version of this digital eye is, of course, already in your pockets. It's an iPhone or an Android phone. And we'll see which form it will grow naturally. So what does this eye do? It gives you the ability to see through things. It gives you more information about the things you're actually looking at. It gives you kind of X-ray vision in a sense. It creates transparency, and it makes us see beyond the spectacle that everybody wants us to see. And you can see, we can say that the web is in a sense its light source. If we see the web as one big ball of information and knowledge, and it kind of just shines on the world, all the relevant information kind of reflects on the objects again, and it's being shown to people. So in a sense, it's the web that is the digital light that's being turned on. And we are now currently developing the digital eye to see with it. And just as we looked at the deer a couple of seconds ago, we now stand still and look at the objects again and see a lot of other things in the objects around us. And it changes the consumer resource interactions with the objects around us once again. Which again, like 550 million years ago, exposes the predators. But who are the predators these days? And I'm going to show a slide very quickly, and I'm going to see it. So, digital, I'm not saying those are, it could be, you know, we don't know what will be transparent. But those are the major kind of objects around us. And digital eyes will be everywhere. Not only people will have them, corporations will have them, governments will have them.
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How does assorted tank tops work out for you?
So, is this a future that the digital eye is used again to provide spectacles to us? Will we have the means to countermeasures like evolution 550 million years ago? There are some things happening currently already. So there are trends that show that people wear their hair and makeup in such a way that it's hard for you to detect their face. Modern camouflage. We also expect that we will augment, I used to augment words, sorry guys. So we will augment billboards, for example, and we will express ourselves on top of it. And we will herd together and group together and express what we think about it, jamming the spectacle in a sense. Or we will group together and we will build a big follower presence, and in that sense avoid attack from other And I think we as people will probably always also start to attack. Here's a Kenneth Cole tweet on top of Kenneth Cole's store. This was not put there by Kenneth Cole, but just an artist. So it's the famous Kenneth Cole tweet about Cairo, placed in the context of the store. This is now a physical sticker, but you know, in a couple of months that will be a digital sticker. Or these kinds of attacks in a sense. So, what I'm saying here is that we are at the beginning of a new evolutionary rat race, where we will see that we use technology to see better than the others, and also prevent again to be hacked, detect, or captured. Conclusion, space. Space is the place where events take place and all objects reside. Is not exclusive anymore. It's a place where people will meet each other. It's a place where people will express themselves. And it's also a place that will not be controlled anymore by corporations and governments. And the spectacle, in a sense, which is kind of the modern way of life, where we are just fed messages and then milked in the stores, will be jammed. And I want to end with a cool quote that I think keep it within 20 minutes.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from now is a choice up to you.
Thank you very much.
It's easy to forgive a small child afraid of the dark, but not a full-grown man afraid of the light, Plato. Well, it's the same. One of the most important philosophical statements of all time. Okay, good. Before I move on to Klein, one more round of applause, please. I'm glad I'm not following that. But we do have a speaker, this time from Lost Boys International.